I'll have three number six specials, please.
Is that all?
Yup, for now.
Alright, pull around.
Grab the bag of from the wage slate that's in there. Toss the giant pile on the chair next to me. Drive off. Absent-mindedly, I reach into the bag and grab a handful of whatever it is. I don't really care. I'm just hungry. Begin to consume it. Jaw chomping down. Slight ting that's metal meets metal. I'm not even sure what it is that I grabbed. I don't think I even bothered to unwrap it. I just kind of put everything in and chew and swallow, chew and swallow. And then down the street there's another McHugh's. Probably pull in there too and grab something else. It's a problem I have. I'm always hungry. Doesn't really matter what it is that I eat, just as long as I keep eating. Mom always said that I would end up overweight because of this. Never really understood the problem. I was always just kind of hungry, and she never followed through on feeding me as much as I could ever. Now, well, things have changed slightly. Now I have the money to finally sate my appetite, and that is gonna be a good day. Hello and welcome. I had a request on my comments for more trolls, so today we are doing more trolls. There are two disorders that I want to say it was either CSI or Criminal Minds or one of those shows that I had brought to my attention, which works out with this concept that I have. One is Picta or Pica. It's Pica. It is a disorder where you have an appetite for substances that are largely non-nutritive, such as ice, paper, clay, drywall, paint, metal, chalk, soil, glass, sand, all kinds of stuff. I will link the Wikipedia pages to this and the other one in the video description. It is a real thing, and it is. I want to say I learned about this on Stanley's Superhumans because there was a guy who would eat glass and stuff. Secondarily, it is a scroll up here a Prader-Willi syndrome, um, abbreviated PWS. It is a rare genetic disorder where uh, you're always hungry. It it comes with a bunch of other side effects that I'm not 100% sure on. I read through the Wikipedia page kind of quickly, but um, the part that we're going to focus on today is the always hungry and the other disorders want to eat things that are not food, and we are going to bring up a troll because trolls were requested. So let me click the troll button, and we are going to do it based around those two disorders and the junkyard jaw. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to cyberware and throw in the junkyard jaw. Uh, the unfortunate part of this is the junkyard jaw by itself is a forbidden item, which means that our runner is going to have a couple of problems when it comes to getting places. Um, that'll be something that, well, we'll see how that goes. We're going to need a couple of different things in here to do it. I'm going to start with this as a six-edge troll because they are more fun and let you do crazy trolly things. Uh, I will probably have to skip the resources and skills around. We'll see where he ends up as far as priorities, but I'm starting here because one, six-edge trolls are fun, and that's where we're going to go. I started with the attributes at a B because we're going to need a couple of different things to make this guy the big, chewy, bite all the things guy that we want. Skills are in a similar place because the Junkyard Jaw is a melee focused item, so we're going to need a bunch of unarmed combat to allow him to bite things. Because why would you have a Junkyard Jaw and not chew on things? Resources unfortunately ends up at D due to the fact that, well, everything else is slightly more important. And for the moment, we are mundane. Mostly because magical characters are fun and all, but at the same time, well, why be magic when we can have a giant robot jaw and eat things, right? That's way more fun. So we're gonna max out his agility for a combat focused character, which when you literally want to take bites out of people is what you are. You are a combat man. You are not a face. You are not a uh, socially capable person most times. And we're gonna boost up his stats to be big and strong. See, like our trolls, big and strong. I will leave it. Nope. Uh, Let's leave it there for the moment. We'll see what we get into. Coming over into positive qualities, as I remember to open up my little nested window, we're gonna start scrolling down things here. Um, Sounds to me like a Baron's rat. Sounds to me like definitely not blandness or any kind of brand loyalty. Definitely not a person with a college education. I like the idea of common sense because it kind of gives me the idea that he knows he should not eat the things that he does, but he's gonna anyway because it sounds like a good idea. Uh, Come on, there it goes. Let's go to do, 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 uh, man, it's wrong kind of guts, unfortunately. Come down into and not a lot of these things really kind of fit here. Part of me wants to do lucky, but unfortunately, it is a useless quality for trolls because you need to spend 35 karma to get that point. Natural athlete is a really good quality. I like it a lot. Natural immunity, I'm pretty sure gonna have to click that button. Then when we get down here into this stuff, nah, we can skip most of this. Uh, let's go. Where were they? Quick healer, because he's gonna eat all kinds of terrible things that he shouldn't do, and we're gonna do resistance to pathogens and toxins because our boy is gonna eat a lot of things, and it's gonna end up uh, with a tummy ache every once in a while. So helping to deal with that will be pretty key. Um, I want to get tough as nails in there, but I'm not gonna be able to get the karma because I'm already over. Let's go see if we can trim something out real quick. Let's trim natural athlete. Yeah, but it's natural immunity. I like pepper punch. Maybe he uses it as a seasoning on some of the things that you're not supposed to, but at the same time, he consumes it anyway. Coming over here into his negative qualities, just to throw things off the onto the list off the top of my head. We'll see what he comes up with. I don't think the guy who eats everything should have an allergy because he will end up eating said allergy. The codes of honor, nope. Uh, Coming down, just click that button quick. Definitely distinctive style because he has a giant robo jaw. And let's see. No, no, not flashback. No. Illiterate, if it was worth more karma, illiterate would be fun because uh, it's one of those things is like, is it food? Yes. Oh, eat. Not so much the other part of it. I like insomnia because being always hungry. If you guys have ever tried to go to sleep while you're hungry, that is pretty rough. Um, Coming down to here, let's Quasimodo because he's going to be an ugly troll because the idea of pretty trolls is upsetting to me. And oh, what else? What else is good here? Part of me wants to do superhuman psychosis, but that gets really dangerous. I got my other character killed. Um, let's see what happens as we go on with our negative qualities and our character build to uh, to see where we end up as far as other ideas. Where he is, Gels. Coming over here, we're gonna get some skills in here real quick. Uh, we're going to need unarmed combat because we want to bite people. We will also need your standards of perception and some sneaking, but sneaking might come through a. No, let's do it this way. Sneaking and palming. Click that button. I'm going to throw some animal handling on here because he likes to eat things. So things are definitely animals, and he will consume them. Uh, let's also do medicine, because that paints a funny picture for me. And we talked about him driving a little intro thing. With our 2 group points, I really like the athletics group. Having a couple of points in gymnastics, running, and swimming are very, very useful for a lot of different runners. Uh, the one you're going to use the most is gymnastics, but when you have the running skill, it is really helpful to have it. Similar to swimming. One of those things that's, yeah, I kind of want that. Um, let us click up a couple of points here. We're going to get unarmed combat up nice and high because we need it to chew on people. And I don't see a relevant specialization, so we'll get back to that in just a second. For sneaking, we're going to be making use of our limited options as far as skill points and go with a urban specialization to give him a couple of points there. A wheeled spec for driving, not too good on the motorcycles. For perceptions, we're going to go with a taste specialization because he likes to eat things, um, which is actually going to inform some of my other decisions. I'm going to come back over here to our attributes and I'm going to drop his reaction, but I will boost his logic because alongside his, instead of his medicine skill, I'm going to go ahead and give him the chemistry skill with an analytical specialization, and that'll work in concert with our perception taste uh, spec so that he will find out what chemicals are by consuming them. Under animal handling, I don't think there's a relevant specialization, unfortunately. Nope. So nothing interesting there. That'll just be a quick little 2 points for, let's call it, catching things. And then I feel like I should give him some other kind of skill, but I feel like a guy whose thing is consuming things to not have the artisan with a cooking spec in it is criminal to not have. So we're gonna throw that on there and give that another point. And we're gonna sit at this for a minute because he only has the one form of combat right now. We could potentially flip his attributes around, drop his body, his logic, intuition, charisma by 1, and get a couple more skill points to make things a bit more well-rounded. But let's see where things take us. English, for knowledge skills, we're going to start off with a Seattle area restaurants, because clearly this guy knows all about food. Um, clicking over here to augments, I want to go in and hit digest. Nope, nothing on that. Let's check Bioware. Digest. Here it is. Apologies, my headset decided to be absolutely ridiculous there. So coming into the rest of our augmentations that are resolved around eating things, um, let's take a quick look and see what we have here. See if we can find one that helps us eat things that are not supposed to be consumed. Cosmetic, diet. Here's the substance. It's the ingestion and absorption. That sounds pretty much like what we kind of want here. Uh, let's go over into gene tech for a second and see if that comes up. Then it help us eat everything. Digestion. Thickened digestive tract line. The kids eat a handful of dirt or slightly spoiled or exotic food. There's a gene for that. Supplementation reduces your lifestyle cost by 10%. Adds +1 dice roll to toxin resistance tests. Wonderful. Let us eat all of the things. Elastic stomach. You can eat and drink enough for up to 2 days. Sitting reduces your physical by 1 for 2 hours. Yep. No, that's definitely his wheelhouse, as I forget. Yep. Delicious. Come down here and see if there's anything else that. Nope. Come up in the cyber. I know that there's some stuff here that I want to grab. No, nutrition storage system. A reserve of tasteless food, paste, and water. Delicious! Goes directly into your stomach. Allows for a day's worth of food and water to be stored. Oh, it's not. All right, so this is way cheaper than the other version. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go pretty hard on that, so that we can get rid of the stomach and we can get this mechanical aspect, which is gonna do all that other fun stuff for us as far as eating things. There's also a waste, bio waste storage, which sounds really gross. Um, but hey, when you're a big boy who eats a lot of stuff, you're gonna have a lot of yeah. Let's not do anything like that. Don't think there's any really cool things we do with the customization of the junkyard jaw. We've gone a little way into this. Let's take a quick look at any other. Well, there is something we're going to need here. We're going to go to our gymnastics and we're going to find something that has clinch, because clinch is great, and the ability to clinch somebody and then chomp on their face is awesome. Uh, looking down them, my usual go-to is Muay Thai when I'm looking for a supplementary martial art. It has clinch, which is a great technique. The ability to grab somebody and then apply all sorts of wonderful penalties and bonuses. And the other follow-ups are a really good way to start off. Finishing move is another fantastic technique, which allows you to cheat, basically, because you will be making multiple attacks in the same initiative pass, but at the cost of a further initiative pass. Kick attack is a fantastic way to get a effective +1 to your unarmed combat, because you are applying reach, which makes it a lot harder for them to dodge. And crushing draws allows you to do physical damage when you subdue somebody. Uh, Other things I really like Wildcat. It has clinch, which is great. It has finishing move, which is also great. It also has counter strike, which allows you to not get punched, and the ability to counter strike by chewing on someone sounds fun. Uh, then there's the Sangri. Sorry, I'm not going to try and do that. Which I think is going to be the one that I'm going to go with, because it has a called shot of break weapon, clinch, crushing jaws, and finishing move. Uh, the called shot break weapon easily turns into him biting your weapon, and just boom, delicious. So that's what we're going to choose, because it allows me to apply clinch and the called shot, and maybe we'll get finishing move in there depending upon how our karma works out for the rest of the things. I'm actually a little sad that there was as many digestive oriented augmentations as I thought there was. But we're going to take a quick look through here. We have a bunch of money still, and I can still shuffle some things around a little bit. I do want to get a taste booster because that seems like something you really want when you are eating things that are not food. You want to be able to lock out the tastes of things that are gross. Um, Coming down, we're going to ignore most things that are not, uh, let's call them related to chewing, because chewing is great. Gastroenteric stimulator. Uh, Makes you immune to nausea and motion sickness. That sounds anti-nausea is great when you're chewing on things. A There's a couple of things in here that I want to do, which are on the lower end of stuff that is not chosen often. But unfortunately, at the moment, due to our priority selection, we don't have the money really for it. Um, Smart articulation is one of those things because it will allow you to uh, increase your physical limit for one for escape artists and grapple tests. Grapple tests could very easily be a clinch, wherein your physical limit becomes very important. However, as a troll, it's already really high. And then it has the when your joints are tight, you get +2 comparing your strength in armed combat. Their physical limit increased by one for any test involving endurance, such as climbing, that kind of stuff. Um, there is a couple of other interesting things. As soon as I find one, I will point it out. I think it's actually nanocybernetics. There it is, smart skin. Um, it gives you armor in a way that it's kind of cool. That instead of orthoskin, you can get this. It is way harder on your essence than orthoskin is, unfortunately, and it's a bit more expensive, but it does give you the ability to do physical damage with punching, uh, or just a straight increase to your punching damage. And then there was one other one which I cannot remember off the top of my head. Maybe it was a Bioware thing. It was an orthoskin upgrade actually, um, where uh, where you get reach for free. I do kind of. I wish I could get a restricted gear plus a super thyroid because that is right up in with what this guy would be up to, given as it is an increased lifestyle because of the food you eat, but it would also help him to um, burn through the food that he gets and consumes. But I think that's it in here. Maybe because it's cool, we'll grab an oral slasher because for one, they're cheap. For two, having a blade inside of your giant chompy, bitey mouth is also really cool. It is unfortunately an exotic weapon, so we're going to go in for uh, that melee weapon. That and the nested file up because I'm a bad person. Oral slasher. Not very good with it, but hey, it's cool and flavorful and cheap. This is where things start to get a little more complicated, mostly because we only have one way of really handling all of our problems, and it is getting in close and biting them. Um, this actually reminds me I need to fix my unarmed combat specialization to Sangre so that we can get our bonus dice for attempting the finishing move people, and clinching, and all of that other wonderful stuff. We're not so good at gymnastics. We could. Hmm, do I tweak? I feel like I might tweak my priorities here a little bit so that we can maybe make a little bit more of a well-rounded uh, character. Let's see what happens. It's super easy to just go like that and then drop uh, reaction, logic, charisma, and I guess we can drop strength by one. Now we have a whole bunch of more skill points, which we're going to drop the athletics group and we're going to pick it up by individual so that we can have gymnastics, running, 1 point in swimming. Come over here, running, give us our sprinting specialization because that's about the only time you're going to use your running skill. Come over here to gymnastics, put a bunch of points into that so that we can have a decent chance of actually grabbing the guy that we want with our clinch and then consuming him. Uh, with our 5 group points, though, that's where things get a little bit more interesting. Gonna toss our palming. Actually, this will make a little bit more sense. Toss our sneaking. Grab 5 points in the stealth group because with a giant chompy metal jaw, you're gonna want to have a way to disguise yourself so that maybe it's slightly less conspicuous, which will leave us with 4 points to grab a different weapon skill, so we have a better option as far as closing. I went with pistols because I intend to get us some tasers so that we can tase our targets down, and then once they are knocked to the ground from electricity damage and all that other wonderful stuff, that's when we go and take a bite out of them. So now I feel a little bit better about our setup. Also, the picture of a troll with a giant Ruger Super Warhawk is fantastic. Let's get some gel rounds in here so that we can knock people down. And let's get some APDS rounds. And finally, some stick shot rounds. Uh, I'm not going to bore you guys with picking out the rest of his weapons. I will throw a taser on here because tasers are nice and legal. And, you know, you don't want to rely on racism to make yourself safe due to being a troll. Uh, and you're kind of squishy. Don't have a lot of money. Fill out some knowledge skills here. We're going to go with recipes. And let's give him a specialization in spicy. So he's all about cooking and has a bit of an in for the hot stuff. Uh, Let us go with gangs as a street knowledge, and we're gonna throw organ legging into his specialization. Uh, when you deal with people who chop up body parts, it makes a little bit more sense to know with them, especially when you have probably taken a couple of bites out of people. And then, let's see on what another knowledge skill could. Let's get back around to that. I'm gonna come over here to the unfortunate part about being troll, and it's how expensive your lifestyle is. Throw a quick couple of sins and licenses on here, and with a low lifestyle because well, we are definitely a Barons person, so we'll boost that up later on. But paying 190% for your lifestyle makes things really difficult. For a contact, we're going to start off with probably 2, maybe a third, depending upon how things go. Peter Brown, and he is a butcher. It is a contact I've used for a couple other things, but every once in a while you might need some guy who's into real meat and can get you real meat occasionally. It is a a great way to deal with, let's call it Barguests and Hellhound canine-based defenses, because if you soak it up with a bunch of narco jet or something along those lines, and you here, boy, have a treat, and then they eat it, then they probably go to sleep, or you overdose and kill them, one or the other. Um, let's actually magical threats. And so, uh, Twitch chat was actually super helpful here. They had the suggestion of he'd be good of becoming a ghoul. That's a very interesting thing because maybe it's something that he has been compared to with the way that he just eats whatever it is that he comes across. And mechanically, it would be I could probably swing it because it's only 29 karma. Get rid of a couple of these positive qualities here and that kind of stuff. Suddenly we have a ghoul troll with 6 edge and a literal taste for human flesh. And oh, man, that's it's kind of interesting to do now because he has enough essence and all of that other fun stuff to do it. You would lose out on some of your edge because you would need to boost your magic high enough since you don't have a magic priority. So you would only be like an edge 3. Let me click the button and see what happens. Yeah, you would end up being an edge 3 magic 1 troll, but you can very quickly do a higher intuition and a um probably strength. I don't know why my attributes suddenly got crazy here. 6 extra. Man, let's just get rid of that because I don't know what happened. Whoops. You saw nothing. That does bring up an interesting idea, though. Depending upon how the rest of the money and other things that I have on here works out, I want to uh, grab a single. That's actually not at all the right page. I'm sorry. Come down here, throw the outdoors group on there. Boom. The outdoors group. The outdoor group gives us a little bit of flavorful knowledge and active skills in the tracking, survival, and navigation area. Survival helps him know what to eat and what he can't eat. Tracking helps him chase down things he wants to eat, and navigation is just a decent skill to have most of the time. Uh, I feel like I'm missing a point from somewhere. That's not that important. He's a little late at the moment on the ye old initiative, but if we throw some cram on there, that should help out a huge amount. Let's see if I click the in play button. We'll see where we're at as far as that goes. That'll bring us up to 7 plus 2d6, which isn't exactly thrilling, but once we get some Nuyen, we can go into some harder drugs. We could you actually probably use Jazz instead. Um, but this guy is a bit less on the, let's just be straight up, on the serious side of things, and more on the uh, thought experiment. What would a what would a character whose main weapon that he intends to use is biting your face off? And what we've ended up with is a 9p -6 clinch monster whose job is to get a hold of you and then get to just gnaw on your face, which is a different type of terrifying. He does also have a bunch of edge, so theoretically we could use that to augment our initiative until we get some Nuyen into us post generation. A set of wired reflexes is only 48,000 Nuyen. That's 4-ish jobs. Depending upon how you do and whether or not your GM does the working for the man or working for the people situation, which is a great thing. He does need a singular contact though, and a let's go with no, definitely not the connection 5 contact. What I have in mind, um, Doctor Phil Good, and he is a food therapist. Given as he does have a couple of actual disorders that actually exist, a food-oriented therapist actually makes a lot of sense for a guy who is trying to deal with the constant hunger to things that are not food. It is arguable that his junkyard jaw is a medical prosthesis, but hey, uh, I've heard crazier things, right? We do have a little bit of room with our negative qualities if we wanted to change things. I'm gonna go the simple way, and I'm just gonna upgrade him to full insomnia because it's really hard to eat when you're always hungry. I will have the link to both the Hero Lab save file and the PDF in the drive that I link you guys to on this YouTube video. He will be joining the Games for GM's characters once I finish out his, you know, put some names on his licenses and stuff. Put some of just the normal gear on here. Like he doesn't have a comlink. Comlinks are pretty important when you're trying to get calls for doing jobs. He doesn't have any armor, so even something simple as just an armor jacket, a set of PPP, which is cheap, easy to get. His social limit's not going to matter. He's a giant ugly troll, and let's call it a helmet. Man, that's gonna eat up a lot of nutrients. But that's going to take him to like 26 soak. He's not exactly a giant soak monster, but hey, he's got a bunch of essence with which to grow into things. I could theoretically drop 2 more points of his attributes and get him some more combat oriented augmentations. Uh, in which case, I would probably let me go over here to the end play and we'll turn this cram off. Let's see what do real quick actually. So switching this, we will let's knock down his logic. And let's knock down his strength. Then we'll go over here to his augments. Wired reflexes. And where's my essence at? 1.8. I like the idea of getting like titanium bones, but I'm pretty sure that's gonna put me. It's probably gonna put me above what I can actually use. Yep, I'm dead. How dead am I? Oh, I'm not very dead. I can very easily knock down this nutrition storage simage and get rid of the poop. There we go. Now all of a sudden I'm up to 32 where, and I have 30 grand still to spend. Maybe this will actually work out better. Um, it kind of sucks to have to spend, have to drop your attributes so low because of your meta type. And yeah, I'm actually mostly okay with this stat line and where we're at because 32 soak is a lot of soak for a character generation guy that's not super based upon soaking things. He's lightly armored in the way that he only has an armor jacket and a couple of the accessories, which can go higher if you want to get into stuff like ortho skin and that kind of thing. It'll take a little bit of wear in play to begin to upgrade some of his things here to get the essence where it fits. Um, we could actually potentially let's look at this real quick. Do we have something here we want to get rid of? Let's get rid of the Baron's Rat because that's not super crazy. Unless they're in a biocompatibility to cyberware. Because we're going to be boring. And suddenly, we have significantly more essence that we can make use of. Uh, I think I like this. I think I like this version better because it makes us a little bit more capable as a combat character with the higher initiative, and it has our armor be a lot more resilient. We'll call it, depending upon how your GM does things. It might, let's say, not stack with uh, that kind of stuff. I was also recommended by the Twitch chat. They made a funny joke again, which is actually going to turn into a thing. Um, I added gremlins on there because somebody made a joke that he always uses a different comlink because he ends up eating it. So when you have gremlins, you are asked to make rolls for somewhat standard tests, like using a comlink to join a DNI call or something along those lines. So now if you, due to your gremlins, glitch that computer roll, maybe he eats his comlink. Or, maybe he was nomming on something and all of a sudden saliva got in somewhere or something along those lines. I will mess with it a little bit off of camera to get a finalized version of this character because I want him to be functional as well as a little silly because there is a bit of room in Shadowrun for things that are on the silly side, but you still have to be a functional character outside of that because otherwise you're just being, unfortunately in this case, a giant troll. And well, while he may be a giant troll, you do want him to not be in the situation where it's like pulling down the rest of the team. We have a couple of unique things with his. Uh, he actually has a bit of a chemistry knowledge, and with his edge stat, he can make use of his chemistry. His uh, his artisan cooking and his Seattle area restaurants could have some information in there that are interesting. The unarmed combat gives him a somewhat unique angle in the cold shot and the clinch to get their hands on people. You can't disarm him because he's gonna bite you. The resistances to pathogens and toxins will probably come up. Not so much the pathogens, but we got a guy here who has a body of 7, a willpower of 3, plus his resistance to toxins gives him like 10 dice for I'm sorry, 11 dice for resisting things like Narcojet, and well, he's immune to the first shot of Pepper Punch he takes in a at a go. The augments here are also going to boost up his resistances to that kind of stuff. He is immune to nausea and motion sickness, so things like Pepper Punch or I don't remember the name of the other drug. I could look it up real quick. That actually makes sense for me to do. Nausea. So there's a couple of different actually options here. Tear gas, nausea gas, pepper punch, and 7/7 all induce nausea. And with your gastroenteric simulator, you are immune to those effects. You still have to deal with the stun damage and other related things with dealing with it, but the crippling effect of nausea is not there, uh, which is great because that sucks. But I feel like that is where we're gonna sit for this guy today. Except for his street name. Kind of want to do something simple and stupid, such as gluttony, or we could do something with like chomper. Or, uh, headset died on me again. Sorry, guys. Um, but I feel like I will leave that sit for a moment, and he will probably end up as chomper because that is cliche, is really what it comes down to. But Thank you guys for checking out the video. I hope that this appeases those of you who wished for more trolls. I will try and get another Matrix support up before Games for GMs 4, which will maybe be not relevant to this video because, oops. And thank you guys for coming out. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, it's at GM_Bamce, BAMCE. I will tweet about the videos being uploaded to YouTube when I go to do my streams, when I go to do any of my Runner Hub games. All of that stuff will all be there on Twitter. Sadly, nobody has asked me questions there, so I feel forlorn about that, but maybe that will change. Or you can reach me through Gmail at GMBamce@gmail.com. I look forward to receiving any questions or comments that you guys have there because yeah, it's nice to get involved, and I do want to kind of build a bit of an interactions with you guys. But thank you very much. The links for all this stuff will be down in the video description, and I will see you guys next time.